Hey guys, Ishan with the Yugo Club at UCI here, coming at you guys with a sort of a video about how to use this simulation that I've built. I think a lot of people want to use it. A lot of people just want to see how it works, and so I figured I'd do a little quick video, a little not as high quality as this video, but I just wanted to explain to you how this works if you're not really familiar with, programming languages and such. So the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to download Python. Um, Okay, so what you're going to do is you want to go to this python.org to downloads. I'll have this link in the description, but you want to download the latest version of Python for whatever your operating system is. I'm on Windows, so I'm going to use this. You click on this, and it'll give you some sort of file here. I've already got it once, so you click on it, and it's going to prompt you for a few things. I'm not going to download this. So actually, I can well, will basically this window will pop up, right? I already have this installed, so it's asking me if I want to modify stuff. But the thing you want to do, you want to install everything, all the defaults, except there'll be some checkbox in this corner that says add Python to your path. You want to make sure that that is checked. And then you just go through and install Python normally, and it's pretty straightforward. So just make sure you click that add Python to your path checkbox. Next thing I want to do is you want to actually download the code that I wrote. It's at this GitHub link. Link, of course, will be in the description. You go into this button here. It says clone or download. You want to download the zip and then unzip it. Usually, if you just click on the zip file, most computers will just unzip it for you. So if you have trouble unzipping stuff, just shoot me a comment and we'll see if we can figure it out. But yeah, so once you unzip it, you'll get all the code here in a folder called YGO sim, I believe. Okay, and so the next thing you need to do is you need to open in some sort of fancy little command prompt. This is what a lot of coders use. They call it the command line, the terminal, whatever. The easiest way to do that, you want to open a command line at this folder. So on Windows, you can do this cool little trick. I'm not sure if this works on Mac, but on Windows, you can do this cool little trick where you can type CMD. Up here, you just highlight everything. And type CMD, and then it'll open up a command prompt window where your folder is. If you're on Mac, I'm not sure if that works, but if you're on Mac, you probably can sort of do this thing where there's some way to copy the address or the path to this location, and then you can type CD, which stands for change directory, and you can put this anywhere. So you can do this. This is like the path to this folder. And you can type CD. You don't want to copy my stuff exactly. You want to actually copy your path, but you can type this, and you'll end up at this folder. So once you end up at this folder, it's actually pretty straightforward, right? So what we need to do is I'll show you guys how to run the default version. So we can type Python, which is say, hey computer, use Python to run this stuff. And then the file that we're going to type is simulate.py. That's where all the main code is. And then we're going to type file. And this is something I added, which basically says, okay, we're going to run this from a file. This is our default way to run the program. We're going to run it from the file. And what it's going to do is it's going to run the simulation on this cg.ygo file that came with the download. And this is, I think, one of my decks that did really well. And so basically, if you want to modify this deck, I'll show you how to do this later, but this is one deck you can modify to test different variations of the deck. All right, so we do python simulate.py file, and you see it runs 100 test hands, and it gives you some information. Okay, but let's say you want to run more test hands, or you want to run your own file. So you can type some extra arguments. So this is the name of the file. Now, if you make a file, a different deck file, you either need to provide the path to it, depending on where it is on your computer, or if you just make a file inside inside this directory, it'll work. So for example, if I want to copy this, I can copy it. I can paste a new file here. I'm going to call it like test. Okay, and then I can no, I already have a file named test. Okay, let's read. Okay, I guess I've already used test. Let's call it video. Okay, so I can test my video.ygo file, and I can say, and you can do this with any file name, right? Any file name in the directory. So I could do cg.ygo as well. And I can say I want to run 10,000 hands this time instead. So this time it's going to run 10,000 hands instead, right? Okay. So boom, let's modify our deck a little bit, right? We want to modify our deck. I will say there are some words of warning that I should say because this program is not perfect, unfortunately. So if we go in and we want to change our deck, we want to test some new things, right? So let's open up video.ygo and let's say, all right, you know what? I want to play, I want to add in the extra rocket tracer, right? I think I want to try out 2 rocket tracers, so I'll change the 1 to a 2. Now make sure you save it. You can put in any card. I'll show you a list of cards that are allowed. But there are a few things I should point out, but we'll get to that soon. Okay, so we're testing 2 rocket tracers. So now we should see when we run this, their deck should have 43 cards, right? Okay, so we're going to take a look. Deck has 43 cards. We're doing 10,000 test hands. And let's see. We scored 13.33 sets, whatever, right? This guy scored 13.395. This guy scored 13.37. So we did lose a little bit of points, right, for adding that second rocket tracer. And you can see sort of, how the percentage. We actually did better on Azathoth. And that might be just that could just be some sort of statistical variation. But we lost a little bit on our waterfront percentage, and we bricked slightly less. And you can do more. You can do more than 10,000 if you want. For example, I can do 100,000. We can get a better idea of how quickly how well this deck will do. Now, I will say the more you do, the longer it'll take. This might take about a minute because the last one took about 5.5 seconds, and we're doing 10 times more work, right? Okay, so while we're waiting for that, I can talk to you about how to edit this deck, right? So the first thing you need to do is you need to make sure that you actually spell all the cards correctly. So you can't misspell a card. It doesn't matter the case doesn't matter, but you do need to spell everything correctly. There's some things you can't. Okay, you can't really you could take out like Red MD from your deck, for example, but my deck doesn't. My simulation sort of assumes you have Red MD in your deck most of the time, so you can't really take that. You probably could take it out and it might look more consistent, but clearly you don't want to do that. We have this B colon thing. This B colon stands for blank, and so basically what that means is that like for example, Gamma Seal and Crusadia Crawler are just complete blanks. They don't do anything for the combo, so I call them a brick, basically a blank or a brick. So let's see, what else do I need to remind you of? Oh, I only have Rocket Tracer, unfortunately, in the deck. I can make this a little bit bigger. This is probably hard to see, actually, right? So let's make this a little bigger. I only have Rocket Tracer in the deck, so you can't use different rocket cards, unfortunately. Let's see, what else should I talk about that might cause the simulation to go haywire? There's no extra deck because I'm assuming you're always making the same play every time. That's why you sort of need Red MD in the deck. You sort of have to include Gamma Seal in the deck. I'm not checking that you can search for Gamma Seal if you have a waterfront, so you can't just take Gamma Seal out of your deck and make it more consistent. I mean, you could. What's one thing I wanted to test? Oh, you know what? I wanted to test if Destrudo actually hurts or helps consistency if you have a Dragon Ravine in your deck. I think Destrudo is good to have because you can summon off LP, but we can test it, right? So one good way to get the thing to ignore a card in the deck is you just hit a little dash here and you save this, right? You want to make sure you save it. Okay, so now we've taken Destrudo out of our deck. We can go back and let's take the Rocket Tracer out of our deck. Let's go back down to 2 or 1 Rocket Tracer. So we'll go and we'll replace it to 1 Rocket Tracer. We'll save this deck. By the way, if you press the up arrow, it repeats the last command you just did, so you don't have to type it over and over again. That's how I'm getting these commands back in so fast. We'll only run 10,000 this time. We'll see. Okay, so 10,000 test hands takes about 5 seconds. And here we go. Okay, so we got a score of 13.422, right? So let's see if Destrudo is worth it. Let's go and, in terms of our simulation. Now, this doesn't detect, for example, this simulation doesn't detect how well you're going to combo off very well because Black Dragon and White Dragon technically aren't the greatest cards to have. But like for just pure comboing purposes, but they're very good, and I don't think anyone would disagree that playing Black Dragon and White Dragon is incorrect because they're so powerful. But I just want to warn you guys, for example, Destrude is also a powerful card, and it's a little bit weaker in the combo, so it will seem like your deck is more consistent. All right, let's pretend like we add it back, and we had a score of 13.422. We got a lot of extra combo percentage. If we add it back in, we might see that our deck will perform worse. So the question you need to ask yourself is, is this Destrudo inclusion worth it? Or is it not worth it? You give it, you get some extra power, but you do lose some consistency, right? And so these are the kind of questions you can ask yourself. If you want to go a little bit more in depth, we got 13.448, so it was really close. And as you can see, these sometimes these decks are so close, you really need to do a lot of simulation to check what's the differences, and changing one card won't change too much. But yeah, you can see some statistics. If you want to go and check to make sure the program is working correctly, one thing you can do is you can open up the code yourself. And this might seem a little scary, but I promise you it's not that scary. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into simulate.py, and we're going to change two things. So you can open this with Notepad. Any sort of text editor will do. I'm going to edit with Notepad++. That's just because what I have. But you can edit it with idle. Actually, idle, you'll have idle if you download Python. So we're just going to edit with idle. It doesn't really matter what it is. And so we're gonna go and we can say, oh, I wanna see what's going on in the simulation. So we can change this debug from true, false to true. And what this will do is this will show us a lot of stuff of what's going on. And the problem with debug is it's gonna print a bunch of stuff. So we can change the default number of hands to 1 instead. So if you guys want to see sort of what's going on, and if you find some bugs, please report them to me. And so you're gonna save this. We can go back and we can sort of run our video YGO, and we can say, if we want to run the default, we can go back to cg.ygo, and we can see, okay, look, one test hand's being run. It told us that we comboed. We did not find waterfront, but we did make Azeroth. Let's see if our program actually worked. So I don't see any way to get to waterfront, unfortunately, in this hand. And then I don't see any way to get. Let's see if Azeroth works. Okay, so it says we succeeded in amazing Azeroth using Crusadia Maximus. So if Crusadia Maximus, we have Inari Fire, and we have another Crusadia Maximus, so that will make Azeroth. We can test this again. It says we were able to combo, we were able to find waterfront, but we were not able to make an Azeroth. So as you can see, we have a waterfront here on our draws. Let's see if we were able to make Azeroth. Arborea, Draco, Reclusia, Tracer, Ranryu. So this is actually correct. My program is pretty smart because listen, like it's able to understand that you can use Reclusia. You could technically make Azeroth with one of these Crusadias and a Ranri and a Draco. However, you won't be able to summon Elpie. And so if you're a Crusadia Guardragon player, you know that this will cause you that you just can't combo basically. So you wouldn't make Azeroth. You would just go for the combo in this case. So yeah, as you can see that this would have failed an Azeroth. You wouldn't have made Azeroth in a real game. If you had a Dragon Extender, like for example, if this Rocket Tracer was a quick launch, it would actually tell you that you could make Azeroth. Or if you go to Black Dragon, it would tell you that you could make Azeroth. And so that's just but you can test the program, and this is one thing you can kind of do. So we'll do it again, and we'll see. One test hand being run. This hand failed to combo, and it's saying, listen, you weren't able to combo with this hand, and it's kind of true, you wouldn't be able to, so that's kind of sad. This hand was able to make Azeroth, but not find a waterfront. So we have Crusadia Arborea, so it looks like we could use, there's a lot of ways to make Azeroth with this hand, so yeah, pretty cool. Another failed, another brick. This hand failed to come. Man, I got a lot of bricks. Honestly, I have no idea why. This hand was able to do everything, a perfect hand. So we've got, let's see, we were made Azeroth by using Maximus. So we used Maximus, Quick Launch, and Gigabyte to make Azeroth, and we were able to find the Kyoto waterfront in our draws. Okay, that's basically how it works. I think that's about it. If there's any questions, please let me know. I'm going to go back and change these back to their defaults. So we're going to put this back to 100, and we're going to put this back to false so we don't print out a bunch of crap. And as you can see, if we go back, once we save these and we run this, now we're going to do 100 simulations, and we're not going to print out a bunch of stuff, and we're going to get a lot of this again. All right, thanks guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time. If you guys want to add any cards, I should say, you can't add any card that you want. So if we look at the allowed cards, you want to look at the allowed cards file. So let's go take a look at the allowed cards file. Where is our thing? Okay, allowed cards. Or card names, I should say. Let's take a look at card names. We can't use everything. So let's edit it with idle and take a look. So these are all the cards you can use. Notice I didn't include Crusadia Crawler. I want you to use that as a blank in this version because I don't want my program to get confused and I think, oh, you can use Crusadia Crawler to combo off. You really can't, right? If you guys have requests for more cards to add, let me know and I can try to add them to the simulation. But anyway, yeah, these are the allowed cards. So just take a look here and see what's allowed. Case doesn't matter, but you do need to spell the cards correctly. All right. So that's it. Hopefully it works for you guys. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Until next time.